In a glass-wrapped office tower in downtown Seattle, where the new boss was only boss because of his father's last name, she was fired on her birthday. "My surprise for you," he said with a smirk, but he didn't know she was the last person holding the keys to the company's survival, and within 72 hours, what she did wouldn't just shake the office, it would silently destroy his career. "My name is Natalie Quinn, and I've spent the last 8 years making sure buildings don't fall down. Not literally, I'm an internal audit specialist at Verena Development Group, one of Seattle's premier infrastructure design firms. Or at least, I was until 9:30 this morning." The conference room on the 15th floor had been decorated like a child's birthday party. Balloons in garish colors bobbed against the ceiling, their ribbons trailing down like tentacles. A sheet cake sat in the center of the mahogany table. "Happy birthday, Natalie," scrawled across it in purple frosting. For a moment, standing in the doorway, I actually thought my team had remembered. Then I saw Hunter Wexler. He sat at the head of the table, my usual spot during audit meetings, wearing that particular brand of smugness only nepotism can buy. 3 weeks since his father's heart complications forced early retirement, and Hunter had already redecorated the executive floor and instituted mandatory 7 a.m. meetings to maximize productivity. Now he gestured at the chair across from him with the magnanimity of a king granting an audience. "Natalie, right on time, please sit." The HR director, Patricia, sat to his right, her lips pressed into a thin line. A manila folder lay closed in front of her. I'd seen enough termination meetings to recognize the setup, but the birthday decorations threw me. Was this some kind of sick joke? I sat down slowly, my laptop bag still on my shoulder. "What's this about?" "Hunter." "Well," he leaned back, fingers steepled like he'd seen in some leadership TED Talk. "I've been reviewing our departmental efficiency metrics, and I'm afraid we need to make some strategic realignments." Strategic realignments. Corporate speak for "I don't like you and want you gone." Patricia shifted uncomfortably. "Natalie, your position is being eliminated effective immediately. We appreciate your years of service." "On my birthday." The words came out flat, emotionless. I wasn't asking for sympathy. I wanted him to acknowledge what he was doing. Hunter's grin widened. "That's the beauty of it. Consider this," he gestured at the cake, the balloons, the whole grotesque scene. "My gift to you, a fresh start, new opportunities. Sometimes the best present is freedom from the corporate grind. Don't you think?" I stared at him. In 8 years, I'd caught embezzlement schemes, flagged safety violations that could have killed people, saved this company millions in potential lawsuits. Last month, I'd identified critical vulnerabilities in our flagship Landmark 9 project, a $36 million mixed-use development that would house hundreds of families. My risk mitigation protocols were the only thing standing between Verena and a catastrophic failure. And this trust fund baby, who'd been on the job less than a month, thought he could just erase me, like deleting a line item from a spreadsheet. "The severance package is generous." Patricia pushed the folder across the table. 2 weeks' pay, continuation of health benefits through the end of the month. "That's below standard." My voice remained steady. "Industry standard for my level is 3 months minimum." Hunter's face flushed. "Well, standards are changing. New leadership, new policies." I didn't touch the folder. "When do you need me out?" "Security will escort you to clear your desk. You have 30 minutes. 30 minutes to pack up 8 years. I stood, shouldering my bag. The cake sat between us, untouched, its cheerful message mocking. "Happy birthday to me, I guess." "Oh, Natalie," Hunter called as I reached the door. "No need to worry about the Landmark 9 project. I've already assigned it to someone who aligns better with our new vision. Someone who understands that excessive caution kills progress." Excessive caution. That's what he called keeping people safe. I turned back, meeting his eyes. "I'm sure you have." The security guard, Marcus, who I'd shared coffee with every morning for 5 years, couldn't meet my eyes as he walked me to my desk. I packed in silence my orchid, my coffee mug, the photo of Michael and me in Hawaii, left behind every file, every note, every password to systems that would take them weeks to figure out without me. As the elevator descended, Marcus finally spoke. "This ain't right. Ms. Quinn, everybody knows it ain't right." "Thanks, Marcus." The lobby opened before us. all marble and glass, designed to impress clients with Verena's success and stability. Take care of yourself. I walked out into the Seattle drizzle, cardboard box in my arms, and didn't look back. Hunter Wexler thought he'd given me a gift freedom from the corporate grind. He had no idea what he'd actually set free. Michael was already home when I walked through the door, my cardboard box of belongings dark with rain spots. He took one look at my face and set down his laptop. "It happened," I said simply. He nodded, jaw tightening. "So it begins." I'd told him about my suspicions 3 weeks ago, when Hunter first started scheduling meetings with my team members behind my back. Michael had suggested I start documenting everything, just in case. Now, as I set the soggy box on our kitchen counter, I was grateful for his foresight. "Coffee," he offered, already moving toward the machine. "Something stronger? There's wine in the fridge." As he poured 2 glasses of Pinot Grigio, I noticed his laptop was open to Verena's project portal. My husband worked in structural engineering for a competing firm, but we'd always maintained strict boundaries about our work. The fact that he was looking at Verena's public filings meant something. "Michael, what did you find?" He slid the laptop toward me, his face grim. "Remember last week when you were in Vancouver for the compliance conference? Hunter submitted a revised design package for Landmark 9, using your access credentials." My wine glass stopped halfway to my lips. "That's impossible. I have 2-factor authentication on everything." "Check the timestamp." He pointed to the screen. "Submitted at 2:47 a.m. on Tuesday. From your office computer." I set down the glass, my hands suddenly cold. I was in Canada. I have hotel receipts. Conference registration. "I know." Michael pulled up another window. "But look at what he submitted." The technical drawings spread across the screen. Familiar yet wrong. This was my risk assessment framework for Landmark 9, but entire sections had been altered. The seismic dampening requirements I'd mandated gone. The redundant load-bearing calculations for the lower floors deleted. The safety margins I'd built into the foundation specifications reduced to the legal minimum. "He gutted it," I whispered. "Every safety protocol I implemented." "It gets worse." Michael zoomed in on the approval signature. "He didn't just submit it under your credentials. He digitally signed it with your certification number." I felt the room tilt. My professional engineer certification was everything in this industry. If a building failed under specifications I'd supposedly approved. "The City Planning Commission approved it yesterday," Michael continued. "Construction moves to the next phase on Monday." "How do you know all this?" He looked uncomfortable. "Tom Morrison called me. He's on the city's technical review board. Saw your name on the submission. He thought it was strange because the risk tolerances were completely out of character for your work. He wanted to give me a heads up, friend to friend." I pulled the laptop closer, scrolling through the modified documents. It was subtle someone without deep technical knowledge might miss the changes, but I saw them all. Each deletion, each optimization, each corner cut in the name of saving money. "If they build to these specifications..." I couldn't finish the sentence. I ran the calculations. Michael's voice was quiet. "Best case scenario. The building lasts 20 years before major structural issues. Worst case, if Seattle gets anything above a 6.0 earthquake..." Hundreds of families. Landmark 9 was designed as affordable housing, targeting young families and seniors on fixed incomes. People who trusted that buildings in America were safe, that someone like me was watching out for them. "He's not just trying to get rid of me," I said slowly. "He's setting me up to take the fall when this goes wrong." Michael reached across the table, taking my hand. "So what do we do?" I thought about Hunter's smug face, his talk about excessive caution killing progress. He thought he was so clever, using my credentials while I was conveniently out of the country. But he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated me. First, I document everything, every original file, every calculation, every safety protocol he removed. Then, I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my contacts. Then I make a call to someone who takes building safety as seriously as I do. Who? Karen Melillo, Senior Inspector with the Department of Construction and Development. We served on a safety review board together 3 years ago. If anyone can freeze this approval before ground breaks, it's her. Michael squeezed my hand. Hunter won't know what hit him. Oh, he'll know. I pulled my laptop from the cardboard box. Rain-spotted but functional. He wanted to give me my freedom fine. Let's see how he handles me when I'm not constrained by corporate hierarchy. As my computer booted up, I thought about Marcus's words in the lobby. This ain't right. He was more correct than he knew. But Hunter Wexler was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room isn't the one with the most power. It's the one with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The next morning, I sat in my home office surrounded by printouts, USB drives, and 3 years' worth of meticulously maintained project files. My personal backup system, a habit Hunter probably didn't know about, had preserved every original document, every calculation, every email chain discussing the Landmark 9 safety protocols. The evidence was damning, side by side. The differences between my original specifications and Hunter's modifications told a story of criminal negligence, but I needed more than just the documents. I needed the digital trail that proved I couldn't have submitted these changes. I pulled up the metadata from the modified files. Creation date, Tuesday, 2:47 a.m. Location Verena Office Network. But here was the beautiful thing about corporate security systems. They log everything. My keycard hadn't accessed the building that night. My company laptop had been powered off, in my hotel room in Vancouver. The IP address that submitted the files traced back to an executive-level workstation. Hunter's workstation. At 11 a.m. sharp, I walked into the downtown offices of the Department of Construction and Development. Karen Melillo was waiting in the lobby, her expression growing more severe as I handed her the preliminary evidence. Natalie, this is... She flipped through the comparisons, her inspector's eye catching every alteration. This is catastrophic, if built to these specs. I know, I kept my voice steady. That's why I'm here. She led me to a secure conference room where 2 other senior inspectors joined us. For the next 2 hours, I walked them through every change, every deleted safety margin, every corner cut. I showed them the digital evidence timestamps, IP addresses, the impossibility of my involvement. The city approved this based on your reputation, Karen said finally. The review board fast-tracked it because your name was attached. Which is exactly what Hunter counted on. I slid across my final piece of evidence an email from Hunter to the construction manager. Sent the day after the submission. Natalie's risk assessments have been updated to reflect more realistic parameters. Proceed with confidence. One of the other inspectors, David Park, whistled low. He hung you out to dry when this building fails. If, Karen corrected sharply, if it fails, because we're not going to let it get that far. She turned to me. Natalie, I need you to file a formal complaint. Today. We'll freeze the permits immediately pending investigation. What about the current construction? Everything stops. We'll issue a stop work order by 3 p.m. She paused. You know this will get ugly. Verena has deep pockets and good lawyers. I thought about the families who would live in Landmark 9, the children who would play in its corridors, the seniors who would trust its elevators and stairwells. Let them come. As I filled out the complaint forms, my phone buzzed constantly. Verena's number, Hunter's direct line, the head of HR. I ignored them all. They'd lost the privilege of direct communication when they marched me out with a security escort. By 4 p.m., the stop work order was in effect. By 5 p.m., my phone was ringing off the hook. This time, it was reporters. Someone had leaked the story, a whistleblower revealing safety concerns at a major affordable housing project. I suspected Karen had made some strategic calls, but I couldn't prove it. At 6:15 p.m., as Michael and I sat down to dinner, a breaking news alert flashed across my phone. City halts construction on $36 million housing project amid safety concerns. That was fast, Michael commented, reading over my shoulder. Karen doesn't mess around when lives are at stake. The doorbell rang at 7:30 p.m. Through the peephole, I saw a man in an expensive suit holding a leather briefcase. Process server. Natalie Quinn, he asked when I opened the door. That's me. He handed me an envelope. You've been served. I didn't need to open it to know what it was. Verena was suing me for defamation, breach of contract, and tortious interference with business relations. The amount they were seeking was astronomical. Michael read it over my shoulder. They're trying to intimidate you. They're trying to silence me. I set the papers aside. But they made another mistake. What's that? They just put everything on legal record, including the fact that those modifications were submitted under my name without my knowledge or consent. I smiled grimly. Discovery is going to be very interesting. My phone rang again. This time, it was a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Ms. Quinn, this is Margaret Walsh from the Seattle Times. I'm investigating the Landmark 9 story. I understand you were recently terminated from Verena Development Group. I looked at Michael. He nodded. Yes, I said carefully. Yesterday morning. In fact, interesting timing. Would you be willing to comment on the safety concerns that have halted construction? I thought about Hunter's smug face, his birthday gift, his certainty that he could erase me without consequences. Ms. Walsh, I said, I would be happy to discuss my commitment to building safety and the importance of proper risk assessment in construction projects. When would you like to meet? The patterns emerged like a conspiracy theorist's dream board, except every connection was real. I'd spent the entire weekend cross-referencing file versions, comparing timestamps, and mapping the digital breadcrumbs Hunter had carelessly left behind. My dining room table disappeared under layers of printouts. Each highlighted discrepancy, another nail in his professional coffin. The smoking gun came at 3:22 a.m. on Sunday. I'd been comparing server logs when I found Hunter had used a development account to access my project files, one that bypassed the normal authentication protocols. The account name, hwexler/admin. He hadn't even tried to hide it. But the real revelation was in the version history. He'd made 17 separate modifications to my risk assessment, each one stripping away another safety layer. The final version, the one submitted to the city, bore my digital signature, time-stamped during a 2-hour window when I was demonstrably on a flight from Seattle to Vancouver. You can't spoof being at 35,000 feet, I muttered, adding my airline boarding passes to the evidence pile. By Monday morning, I had everything organized into a comprehensive report, not the kind of internal audit report I used to create for Verena, but something far more devastating, a forensic analysis that would stand up in any court or professional review board. I met Margaret Walsh from the Seattle Times at a quiet cafe in Fremont. She arrived with a photographer and a technical consultant, prepared for what she described as potentially the biggest construction fraud story of the year. Walk me through it, she said, recorder placed between us. I started with the basics, the importance of risk assessment in construction, the specific vulnerabilities in the Seattle area, the responsibility engineers carry for public safety. Then I showed her the evidence. This is the original specification I submitted, I said, sliding across the stamped documents. Note the redundant safety systems, the earthquake preparedness protocols, the load calculations with 20% margins above code requirements. She studied them carefully, and this is what was submitted to the city. Under my name and credentials, yes, I produced Hunter's version. Safety margins reduced to bare minimums, seismic dampening eliminated, cost savings of approximately $4.2 million. Her technical consultant leaned forward. At what risk? In a major seismic event, catastrophic failure within the first 30 seconds. In normal conditions, progressive structural degradation beginning at year 15, critical by year 20. Margaret's pen flew across her notepad. And you can prove you didn't make these changes. I laid out the digital evidence methodically. Server logs, access records, the development account, the impossible timeline, my flight records, even security footage from my Vancouver hotel showing me at a conference reception at the exact time the files were modified. Ms. Quinn, Margaret said slowly, this isn't just about building safety anymore. This is fraud, criminal fraud. I'm aware. Why come to me instead of going directly to the police? I thought about my answer carefully. Because Hunter Wexler and Verena are counting on lawyers and legal delays to bury this. They're betting on intimidation and the slow grind of the justice system. But public pressure, media attention, that moves faster than any court. She nodded. The lawsuit they filed against you is an attempt to silence me. But I'm not an employee anymore. I'm not bound by their NDAs or corporate policies. I'm just a concerned citizen with expertise in building safety. The photographer had been quietly taking pictures of the documents. Now he spoke up. My daughter's preschool was supposed to move into the Landmark 9 commercial space next year. Then you understand why this matters, I said. Margaret closed her notebook. I'll need to verify everything independently. My editor will want to run this by legal. But if even half of this checks out... It all checks out, I assured her. Every document, every timestamp, every piece of evidence. I've spent 8 years building my reputation on thoroughness. I'm not about to stop now. As we prepared to leave, she asked one more question. What's your endgame here, Natalie? What do you want from all this? I thought about Hunter's birthday surprise, his casual destruction of everything I'd worked for, his willingness to risk lives for profit margins. I want the truth on record. I want the city to understand what almost happened, and I want to make sure Hunter Wexler never has the opportunity to put anyone at risk again. And Verena. Verena can survive this if they make the right choices. Hunter is the cancer. Whether they choose to excise him or let him metastasize, that's up to them. That evening, my lawyer called. Natalie, I just got off the phone with Verena's legal team. They want to meet. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Let me guess they want to settle quietly. They didn't say, but that would be my assumption. He paused. The Times article comes out Wednesday. If their fact-checkers are as thorough as I expect, then we have leverage, real leverage. I looked at my evidence wall, at the proof of Hunter's arrogance and incompetence. Good, because I have some non-negotiable terms. Such as... Just one, really, I smiled coldly. Hunter Wexler's resignation, effective immediately. The Tuesday meeting with Verena's legal team never happened. At 8:45 a.m., my lawyer called to say they'd postponed indefinitely. By 9:30 a.m., I understood why. The Seattle Times had moved up their publication schedule. The headline on their website read, Whistleblower exposes safety violations in $36 million housing project. My phone exploded with notifications, calls from reporters, texts from former colleagues, LinkedIn messages from industry contacts. I ignored them all and sent a single message to my lawyer. All communication goes through you now. By noon, the story had been picked up by 3 national outlets. The Times had done their homework, independent experts confirmed my analysis. The city inspector's office validated the stop work order, and Hunter's name appeared in every paragraph. The Security and Exchange Commission had opened a preliminary investigation into potential fraud. But I wasn't done. That evening, I sat in my home office finalizing the business registration for Build Safe Logic LLC. What had started as a defensive move creating a corporate entity to protect our personal assets had evolved into something more. If Hunter and Verena had taught me anything, it was that working within the system had limits. Maybe it was time to work around it. The business model was simple but revolutionary: independent, third-party risk assessment for construction projects, with reports delivered directly to city regulators and made publicly available. No more buried safety concerns. No more corporate pressure to minimize risks. Complete transparency. I'd already soft-pitched the concept to Karen Malillo. Her response had been immediate. The city would mandate this for every project over $10 million if you can make it work. Wednesday brought the first major crack in Verena's defense. 3 senior engineers resigned, citing ethical concerns about leadership direction. One of them, Janet Rodriguez,